Hi, my name is Allison Wright. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and one of the ways in which I like to incorporate health and wellness into my everyday is by taking a moment each morning to check in with myself and ask who I am today. What feeling or mood is most dominant? What part of me needs attention? And honoring those feelings. For me, and I think for a lot of us, health and wellness is a journey, and each day is going to look totally different. So it's important to not attach too much to one single day or even a moment in a day, and really look at the broad picture and how far we've come. My own journey with mindfulness and sustainable practices came slowly in my life. As a kid, I struggled with intense anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder. Those shadows have followed me into adulthood, and I would say probably exacerbated by my 20s, which, if they felt freer, were haunted by cringeworthy style, side swoop bangs, and maybe having a little too much fun. If my 20s were about figuring out who I was, discovering that person, it came with pain and discomfort, and I will say that that's been the blessing of my 30s, is getting to know that person, right, and understanding what that person needs for best practices and to serve the best version of myself, and understand that while those shadows of anxiety and OCD might still follow me, they don't have to be in front of me, right? I can control certain aspects of my life that give me mental freedom and clarity, and a lot of that comes from physical movement, and not for everyone, but certainly for me. I found that doing about 4 to 5 days of physical activity, for me that's a bar exercise, has proven immensely positive in my life. It exerts a form of control, which satisfies my obsessive compulsive disorder, but in a positive way, and I have certainly never regretted any workout that I've taken. You know, there are days when I wake up and I resent myself for feeling like I need to do that, but I've certainly never regretted it afterward, and it helps alleviate my anxiety. Again, it gives me something to have control over that's positive. It helps me sleep better at night, and you know, I will say that each day I check in with myself, and whether I'm pushing myself or trying to prove something or turning inward, or I need to sleep in, really like lean into like being a couch potato for a day, I honor every part of that person I've become, and I give space to all of those parts, and I don't carry, or I try not to, right, carry guilt or anxiety about which part of me needs attention that day. You know, a lot of times we can let guilt seep in from not being as productive as we think we should be, or as someone else thinks we should be. But those days are just as important as the days when we are pushing ourselves and getting out there and, you know, being active. And so really it's just about loving the entire view of ourselves, really taking a holistic approach to who we are, because if we aren't showing up for ourselves, we're certainly not showing up for anyone else. And that's something that I found in this industry. A lot of it is showing up for each other, and that starts with ourselves. You know, being a coworker, a manager, an owner, it all starts with taking care of yourself, because you are responsible for taking care of everyone else, or you're responsible for showing up for your team that day, and nothing can work if all the parts aren't working. So I think in terms of longevity and mindfulness, sustainable practices in this industry, if you aren't asking what you need for your best practices, then you're missing out. There's a huge gap where you could be showing up fully for your job by just showing up for yourself, which sounds so easy, but it really is a daily struggle. It's a daily journey. Many times I'll wake up unmotivated, and it all it took was getting out of bed, right? And then I'm like, okay, I got this. Or other days I wake up motivated, or, you know, that tanks throughout the day, and I ask myself, what do I need? Do I need a rest? Do I need to sit down? Do I need to go home? You know, we can't go home from work most of the time, but the times that we can, it's really important to honor exactly what we need and who we are in that moment, so that we can serve the whole version of ourselves. So I encourage you to put these practices into place, to ask yourself, who are you that day? What do you need? Who are you that moment? What can you do? Because it all starts there. And once you start moving forward, it's a lot easier than looking at it before you've begun. Today I'm making my drink electrolytes featuring Perrier pineapple. The name is inspired by one of the ancient names for the goddess of the sun, and the drink itself is inspired by both the energy and the escape that the sun can provide. In my opinion, a good drink is always an escape, but it can also be a complement to a moment you don't want to leave. So we'll get started with a 1/4 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice, backed up with a 1/4 ounce of coconut vinegar, followed by a 1/2 ounce of house cardamom honey syrup, and 1.5 ounces of seedlip spice. We're gonna follow that with a little pinch of salt for some added electrolytes, hence the name, and about 3 ounces of Perrier pineapple. Give that a little stir before we add our ice. One more little stir for humor. And we're ready. I want this drink any time of day, in the morning, out with friends, after a workout. Obviously you have a little bit of salt for electrolytes. I think it's important for all of us in our daily lives to take a minute to enjoy ourselves, give ourselves an escape, complement our moments, but also say, what else can I do to benefit myself? Here we have coconut vinegar. Acetic acid is going to support a healthy gut and immune system, while our salt is going to support neuron function and muscle movement. So with that, I think it's a pretty good escape. Everything in life benefits from balance. Whether we're talking about a drink, a dish, or yourself, we all benefit from finding what works for us. Certainly if we're talking about sustainable practices or mindfulness, we all have to find out what our balance is. And once you find what works for you, I encourage you to never look back. I'd like to end with a huge thank you to Perrier, Focus on Health, Alex, and Lauren for having me. Mindfulness Matters is an incredible program, and if you'd like to learn more, please go to fohealth.org.